Out on bail, fresh out of jail, California dreaming. Soon as I step on the scene, I'm hearing who's screaming. Fiending for money and alcohol, the life of a West Side player with Cali's eye, but it's all ball. Only in Cali will we ride, not rallies. Live and die in the LA we wear, checks not found. What? We out on bail. It's your boy Dan. We're gonna start this in a minute. Let people come, let people tap in. We're back. Trying to share this to people. We're back. Sorry about the delay. The beauty of being wrong. Just when you thought you knew. I just wanted to go live, share this with my YouTube, my subscribers, my loyalists, on the account of my appreciation for y'all sticking with a brother, being here along the ride for this accomplishment. You feel me? Dropped 824. You know I'm a big Kobe head. 824. It's all synonymous if you pay attention. But essentially, I just wanted to let all my subscribers in on the celebration. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes and Nobles. And I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek as to the introduction, explaining the beauty of being wrong and what it means. Because wrongness has its ambiguity, as we would say. So, while celebrating with you motherfuckers, we are going to touch on the introduction and let people know who might be interested and might not know what the beauty of being wrong may be about. Okay, we could read the back before we get into the introduction. Written so beautifully handwritten. The beauty of being wrong is contemporary society's doctrine for open-mindedness. Not only that, it is also the catalyst to leading people back to their true form, which is the energy within themselves. With irrefutable proofs as well as counted, grounded anecdotes, nobody knows, that's me, nobody knows adequately conveys the different benefits of assuming conceptual wrongness. Conceptual wrongness. One thing we all know is that the human condition is limited. The beauty of being wrong is simply a reiteration of this truth that many people forget to acknowledge. By accepting conceptual wrongness, humans can better develop their own cognitive abilities through the nature of skepticism, questioning, inquiring. That nature of skepticism that we have as humans to drive us to innovation and new scientific principles. That's what this book is talking about. Oh yeah, we get heavy out the gate. From the back, we get heavy. From the back, we get heavy. We ain't even started yet. Okay, humans can better develop their own cognitive abilities through the nature of skepticism, while also realizing that their way of doing things is entirely subjective, not objective. Subjective. You are a subject in a world full of signals. You can't view things objectively no matter how hard you try. More objective, yeah. Relative to the human condition. You have an objective human condition. While this may appear counterintuitive for those reading, The beauty of being wrong illustrates concisely why assuming conceptual wrongness can only enhance an individual's viewpoint, as constantly believing yourself to be right may lead to closed mindedness. Readers will be wildly surprised once they pick up this book, as they unquestionably have stumbled upon something grand. If you're reading this already, then all I have left to ask you is, what are you waiting for? If I picked up the back, if I picked up the book and read the back, would have piqued an interest in me. If you subscribe to Dame's World, most likely it piqued an interest in you. And we're not even gonna get into the first chapter. We just gonna get right into the introduction, where I just introduced to you niggas entirely. If you didn't get it from the back, which the back lets you know the benefits of assuming conceptual wrongness. We need to distinguish different forms of wrongness. You have conceptual wrongness, but then you have other forms of wrongness like fundamental wrongness or moral wrongness, in which the introduction, which ain't the meat and potatoes, the introduction is like the premise. The introduction is letting you know what you're about to read. So we can disclose the introduction to those on YouTube today. So let's get it. One concrete meaning cannot quantify the occurrence of being or feeling wrong. Just as most words we conceive, the concept of wrongness also has its levels of ambiguity. For example, we all have our subjective moral principles that we abide by that need no justification. Ethics, so to say. They, ethics, only require an innate predisposition to certain ways of life. So what I'm saying right there is, before you even are born to be made aware of the outside world around you, you have information instilled in you that has already been principled in its way of being. It is of my opinion that that ethical code you were instilled with gives you the righteousness and gives you the connectivity with other natural elements around you, which gives you your ethics and your principles. These are the things that in which I believe, like I said, is nothing certain. I believe these are the things in which help the collective consciousness get an understanding and empathize for one that is not themselves. Though it's of my belief, I see humans contradict that nature today. A lot of people are self-serving. A lot of people are narcissistic in their viewpoint, and a lot of people don't empathize with life. But based on that long-lasting human condition, like even today with the paradigm in which we're in, you still see the average citizen look out for one another. Probably not on a general scale with their monotonous ways, but the average citizen don't want to harm or inflict their will on another person. The sick ones do. There are plenty sick ones running around, specifically in America, but the general citizen does not want to deliberately inflict their will on one another. So that's the moral wrongness in which I speak of right here when I say we have our subjective moral principles that we abide by that need no justification. This is not a form of cognition. This is an innate feeling of information that you got before cognition even took place for you to develop and establish what you believe here. What you believe here innately came first. Assuming you're energy connected in a world of energy. You feel me? At least my assumption. But again, ethics only require an innate predisposition to certain ways of life. An example of this would be my belief against something as atrocious as rape. So rape, an infliction on somebody's will. I don't think I had to be taught to know innately that that wasn't something that I aligned with. When you see it, it looks like a clear infliction of another person's will, refutation, and domineering position. So innately, I feel like most humans are conditioned with those ethics and principles, right? I can never accept that action. Therefore, I need no reason to even try to justify it through cognition. Some people like to justify their actions through their cognition, which is reasoning. But reasoning don't always equate to fundamental logic or fundamental rightness or ethical rightness. Yes, I did write a book, my boy Comic Head 84. What it do? What it do, baby? The beauty of being wrong, brother. Go get it on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. Right now I'm touching on the introduction, letting people know I'm distinguishing wrongness right now. Because some people might see the beauty of being wrong and be like, oh man, what do you mean what do you mean wrong? I don't want to be wrong. Well, let me explain. Let me explain. It's ambiguous. Appreciate it. The bar breakdowns is one of my specialties too. The bar breakdowns are one of my specialties too. But right now we getting on the beauty of being wrong and what type of form of wrongness. And I just explained ethically, I think we all are instilled energy, information before we're even cognitive. Like when you're a baby, you have ethical pretenses about you. That to me, they assume you don't want to inflict your will on other energies. That frequency of dominance, that frequency of death, essentially. If you want to inflict your will on somebody, you're inflicting harm or death, the death frequency in which I call it, on another life form. I think we're I think we're life affirming creatures by nature. So that form of ethics is not what I was touching on. So in the book, I can never accept the action. Therefore, I need no reason to even try to justify it through cognition. That goes for any infliction of a person's will. Unwarranted murder, in which I speak of. Unwarranted, that's where it gets murky, because warranted implies reasoning, and reasoning is subjective. Like murdering Trayvon Martin because he was getting Skittles walking the street, that's unwarranted in me and that's unethical. So the book will not be touching on that. Unwarranted murder, slavery, and infliction on somebody's will, etc. I conceive these things as the immaterial form of wrongness. The immaterial form of wrongness are ethical predispositions, our moral code, essentially. These are moral forms of wrongness. However, the beauty of being wrong will focus more on wrong in the realm of concepts. Concepts are ideas, beliefs, propositions, or ways of reasoning that derive from human cognition. Human cognition, this tool we got. We formulate opinions and reasoning and theories based on the way of this mind. And now that is the wrongness in which we conceptualize, because that is relative. We all have different predispositions of the mind to where we don't see the same signals entirely the same to conclude the same things. Concepts are ideas, beliefs, propositions, outlooks, or ways of reasoning that derive from human cognition. While concepts are vital in their role of generalizing nature and the processes within it, we must acknowledge that our human limitations come with boundaries that allow us to assume sensually and cognitively that these concepts created are not of complete certitude. That's a bar. You gotta peep the bar right there. Somebody called my phone. But look, I'm talking about concepts, so beliefs, what you think essentially this world is about, or what you observe something to be, an object, a phenomena in nature, right? So concepts are vital in their role of generalizing nature. So we call gravity the phenomena that and it's apt for the realm of communication, and then we can get the understanding of what we deem gravity, the phenomena that none of us can escape. So concepts are cool in from a certain lens. We use it for a better understanding of the objective reality, or in my opinion, the intersubjective agreement. You feel me? But, however, we have to understand our human limitations come with boundaries that allow us to assume sensually and cognitively. What I mean, sensually, We know we're limited in senses. We have five senses, and we know our sensibility is not the same as a frog. You don't hear, or you don't have certain senses that other species or other creatures, based on our own science, are privy to. So you're not all sensing. And cognitively, you have the human mind. So centrally and cognitively that these concepts created are not of complete certitude. So whatever it is that you see and theorize in this world, it is based on a limited scope and perspective, which is your human relative understanding. Because you don't have all humans' relativity. You have your relative human understanding. So you're just one human within a spectrum of humans who can only conceive the electromagnetic spectrum at a small percent as is. So when we conduct science or when we do our philosophy, we're making conclusions based on being just a speck of dust in a cosmic realm. A speck of dust in a cosmic realm to be interpreted. There's no you grasping at straws. But for our understanding, we do it. For science's sake, we do it. Okay, and let me break down all concepts in our material realm hold the possibility of being inconclusive or even contradictory in comparison to other human principles. My example are religious beliefs, theories, traditional values, etc. While I have no intention of expounding on why there is beauty in feeling morally wrong, again, we talk about ethics and inflicting one's will. This is just my personal belief and what I'm not attacking in the book. I will express the beauty in being or even assuming the wrongness in concept, belief, or philosophy. How you see shit. Oh man, I believe in the universe was made through a simulation and we just subjects being tested. Oh no, I believe in a higher conscious, a God power that created this world and created the energies around us. Oh man, I believe whatever it may be, whatever it may be in the realm of theory. If it's scientific theory, you believe in the flat earth or the round earth, you're a round earth theorist, you're a flat earth, whatever you are, you believe it. The reason why it's stuck in the realm of belief and theory is because we can't adequately or firmly conclude it. If we could firmly conclude it, it'd be case closed. It'd be nothing to theorize. There are fundamental truths, fundamental rights that I address, like 2 + 2 = 4. The triangle has 3 sides that we're not going to argue about. But your theory on life, what you conclude in this world and this reality, is subjective to your limited human condition. That's something that, even though we're in the beauty of being wrong, that's something that's hard to refute, that you're limited sensually and cognitively, right? So, where was I at? Okay, concepts, beliefs, or philosophy. Every individual comes into circumstances with their understanding of life. The things society has conditioned us to believe to be right and wrong, factual and fictitious, are all subject to not only the nature around us, but also the nature within us. Parentheses, genetic predisposition. What that is saying is 2 things shape you. For one, you're wired a certain way. By whoever created you, we're not going to elaborate on that. But you're wired a certain way. You don't think like your brother or your sister. Or some of y'all might be similar in thought, but you have your own individuality about yourself, which allows you to see signals at a certain level and magnitude. You can have a family of 5 with 2 parents, all growing up in the same construct, but their understanding of things is going to be varied based on their own individuality. So when I say the nature within you, that's your genetic predisposition, what you already are when you came out. Then you have the nature around you, the environment. So you couple your own individuality and your nature with the environment. This is how you see the life. This is how you're able to formulate conclusions about whatever it is you see, which is respect. It's to be respected. The distinctive way in which people perceive life, None of them are to be propelled over one another. That's why the beauty of being wrong is to assume that your perspective and your viewpoint is not the entire holistic way of the universe. So when other people come from their relative standpoint, you can be like, oh shit, I ain't know that. That's kind of cool. I thought this way, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't agree necessarily, but I see where you're coming from. Because you don't assume that firm stance of rightness. So yeah, okay. We're still, the nature within us reacts to signals arbitrarily. So we all react to signals differently. What might trigger you might not trigger me. In other words, the things we know of cannot elude our experience nor our lens of observation. Due to these strict bounds of reasoning, we can use this logic to safely assume that human knowledge or understanding of things is fallible. Fallible meaning flawed. Flawed meaning not perfect, not all sensing and not knowing enough to conclude this universe with any bit of certainty. So I have to bring that back. You feel me? The nature within us reacts to signals arbitrarily. So as humans, our human condition and our relative standpoint, we're forcibly to react to a signal arbitrarily, subjectively. So the things we know of cannot elude our experience nor our lens of observation. We can't look at things outside from being a human, and I can't look at shit outside of my past experiences. You feel me? No, nor can you. Your past experience dictate and shape your reality. The mind gets the signals from everywhere, whether or not you're aware of it or not. You getting signals at such a high rate, you're not even conscious of all the shit that's stuffed in your edifice for you to formulate the conclusions for tomorrow. So you take those strict bounds and then, or due to those strict bounds of reasoning, you can use logic, which is not what you think, is just the premise of the universe. You use that logic that you're not all sensing, you use that knowledge that you're not all knowing, and you can assume that your knowledge or human knowledge or understanding of anything is fallible. And if you can accept that, you can accept something like the beauty of being wrong. Most of you niggas want to be right so badly. All right, let me give you niggas more of the introduction. We got all night. The beauty of being wrong is an approach that suggests to people that their experience and understanding of things isn't universal. By assuming possible wrongness, remember, you ain't got to say, oh man, I'm wrong and be down in the dumps. By assuming your theory, your concepts in life to be possibly wrong of your own beliefs, by assuming possible wrongness of your own beliefs about how this works, this life works, you can maintain a continued openness to experiences untethered by preconceived notions. That's a bar. Let me bring that back. By assuming possible wrongness of your own beliefs about how this life works. Possible wrongness about your beliefs about how this whole life works. Just possible wrongness. You can maintain a continued openness to experiences untethered, which means unbound by preconceived notions. So however you see things, you can now see things from a better perspective, not reduced to your previous biases. Even if you just look at it slightly wrong, you don't have to conclude that your shit is completely definitively wrong. I didn't say that. But the beauty of being wrong means to just assume it. Because the feeling it is the moral predisposition we spoke about. I don't want nobody feeling morally, you know what I'm saying, wrong ethically. You have to fix that. The goal is a higher consciousness and a higher righteousness, in my opinion. But conceptually wrong, the only time to feel it is when cognitive dissonance occurs. Is when you have an idea, two ideas that contrast one another, and now one has to be eliminated. Or if you're a dissonance dodger, which we touch on in the book, you're going to run from cognitive dissonance and you're going to always be stuck in your box in your hole. That's not the aim. So the only time to assume possible wrongness is in concept, and whatever you theorize that's not fundamentally logical. Like 2 plus 2, what does that equal? We're not going to argue about it. 4. So you maintain a continued openness to experiences untethered by preconceived notions. When you do that, you assume possible conceptual wrongness. It's so beautiful. It might hurt for some niggas because y'all been sure on a lot of things lately. The humans have been sure as to their opinion. What I've noticed in my experience, it's been a lot of people who are either this or that, white or black, not race wise, but in regards to whatever topic they're touching on and what they believe, they're just firm on a stance and firmly against another. When a lot of this shit is a gray area, a lot of this shit is arbitrary, a lot of this shit is environmental. Oh yeah, much love, Comic Head. Comic Head state this lane of energy is very refreshing to hear from a young man. Word feels full of echo chambers and lack of intelligent empathy lately. Oh man, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's much love in that regard. I'm glad I could be able to satiate your needs in that regard. You know what I'm saying? We're only here to help. We're light. You feel me? I'm here to give light and receive it. I appreciate you being here sharing your vibe with me. It's much love. It's much love. Okay. Experience is the human mechanism for understanding. This is another thing I touched on in the beginning in regards to irrefutable proofs. Experience is the human mechanism for understanding. If you can't agree on that, you probably are not human. Experience is the human mechanism. When you don't have experience, you're a baby, you don't have the understanding of this life around you. You might have an innate understanding. Ethics again. Remember, we talked about ethics. You might have a core understanding about life, but not on this corporeal physical realm, not on this spectrum. So experience is literally the human mechanism for understanding the life around them. Unfortunately, we propel ours to dangerous levels by considering it right rather than subjective. We can observe this reality on an anecdotal level daily when interacting with a subject and simply listening to their philosophy. However, on a broader scale, our society makes this fatal flaw through the appeals of Western science. So, what I mean by that is, uh, anecdotal level, when you argue with a motherfucker at work or your homies or your friends, whatever it's about, you think Messi is better than Ronaldo. Too definitive. No way, Messi got it. No way, Ronaldo got it. You can observe motherfuckers rather be right than subjective. How about based on how you perceive the game of soccer to be? This is how you look at it. Okay, based on I understand that and I feel why you choose Ronaldo, but based on my perspective and how I see the game of soccer, I've always been privy to a nigga like Messi. You don't see that today. You just see two people so sure about something so arbitrary as what the best means. When did the best become fixed? When did the best become fixed? You feel me? So you can observe it and you can observe that reality on an anecdotal level like that or on a broader scale through the appeals of Western science. What I mean is Western science now puts out purports their rhetoric more so and suppresses rhetoric from other realms like Eastern science or Afrocentric methodology or Chinese methodology. No, Western science is just reduced, just like any science from any culture would be reduced more so than broadened. So, be it that I'm in America, I'm under the Western construct, that's the appeals that our society in which I'm in makes through Western science. So if you talk about what do you need to cure cancer in Western society, we're all going to say chemotherapy helps cure cancer. But in another realm, Eastern society, they might tell you to fix your diet to get a whole different nutritional regimen. So the reality is created uh, when people consider themselves right rather than subjective on a general scale is through something like that. The doctrines we've been fed that have told us certain subjective truths, like the history of the world and the inventors all being European men, essentially. That's subjective rather than objective. History. So for years, humans have used the field of philosophy and science as an attempt to quantify the natural elements among us. So we use philosophy and science to quantify everything around us. What things are. You feel me? I think at some point in human history, we've gotten more enamored by trying to figure it out than just gauging an understanding of how to use it in nature. I think a long time ago, before uh, colonialism, the terroristic form, European colonialism, in which was committed, I believe that they used the philosophy and the science to understand the things in nature and how they interacted with nature to better benefit themselves. Now people like to project rightness, like, oh, we discovered this and this is true about the world. It's a fact. And the logical positivist is a dangerous place to be, man. It's a dangerous place to be. So, but nonetheless, we still use philosophy and science to quantify the natural elements around us, among us. Nothing wrong with that. Yet, science and philosophy, by their own acknowledgments, continually fail at these quantifications due to their science and philosophy nature of conceiving solely through the human context. This is something that's repeated. Science and philosophy, by their own acknowledgments. What do I mean? Science, when they give you, I mean, philosophy, when they give you a conclusion, they're going to say this is a theory that I've proposed. Why? Because I'm doing it from the human context, from my conditions, my bounds. Again, like we said earlier, it comes with strict limitations and bounds to conclude anything as a human being. That's why philosophers will theorize. Scientists will conclude and theorize as well and come up with a theory based on the objective reality presented before them. Still a theory. The theory of gravity. Why is it still a theory of gravity? Because that phenomena in which is in front of us is can be observed at a broader magnitude than humans are able to observe at. We know this innately, philosophers and scientists. So that's why you see theory when you see the scientific realm. That's why philosophers, this is my philosophy, this is not conclusive, this is not stamped. This is why the beauty of being wrong has to come out today, because niggas think LeBron James being the best player in the league is a fact. How loose have we allowed opinions? We haven't drawn the line between an opinion, a grounded opinion, and a fact. We've made it all murky now when they're clearly distinguishable, a truth from a non-truth type shit. This is why early philosophers suggested their conclusions as theories. They intuitively knew that their claims were conceived using the limited scope of human experience and not universality. This is also why science uses the term scientific fact to imply that their suppositions can only go as far as the scientific methods, human observation, can take them. Of course, scientists and philosophers will arrive at conclusions in theory. However, they remain in continual pursuit of expanding the theory due to nature being uncanny. So while they have conclusions, they're still going to study the phenomena of gravity to get a better conclusion because they know that their deductions are limited and the phenomena around you is forever changing. So your conclusion yesterday might come different than today or tomorrow. So while citizens piggyback off these theories, real scientists are still conducting the sciences to upgrade the theory in which they've concluded, which they know is marginalized to their scope of looking at shit. So, man, you watching this, you're a third party scientist. You ain't did no science yourself, unless you're an anomaly. Me neither, which is why this has to come out for us to get better deductions, better understandings. Maybe we will do some science and understand the importance of doing science. You feel me? But back to it. Science, okay. Science, or yes, science and philosophy have been and will continue to be helpful in the advancement of our ability to understand and manifest things within nature. I'm not against science. I'm not against science. I'm not against science. It advances society. It furthers our understanding. It's good for us. However, we can't project that as the all being and all knowing of this nature around us that's beyond human scope. That simple. However, you should know that neither science nor philosophy can quantify, or you should know that neither science nor philosophy can quantify anything beyond their corporeal limitations. Corporeal is like the physical body type shit. Science and philosophy are appeals to human cognition, our mind, making their nature subjective in themselves. Our only means to correct this appeal is through itself, the the appeal of another human's reason. So when we find a theory that counterattacks whatever theory is put to the front, the only thing we use to even counterattack that theory is another human condition that formulates the contrasting opinion based on whatever they've observed in nature. So think about how flawed that system of reasoning is. We don't have anything to check human bounds. We're dealing on the realm specifically of human bounds. The opposing theories that we created are created due to somebody else's limited bounds. They're only arguing because they both know that they're on limited bounds. If it was definite, they wouldn't be arguing about it, right? So both of them niggas should just assume wrongness and hear them other motherfucker out. You have a thesis, which is what you conclude. And if a nigga's arguing with you, you have an antithesis, antithesis, the opposite of what you conclude. Thesis plus antithesis, what does that make? Synthesis. This is a good formulation, good equation. If you think about it, if you're open to it, if you have a thesis and somebody comes to argue with you with the antithesis, what you should do to synthesize your answer is listen and understand and process whatever reason, if they have it. If they don't have it, you ain't got to process shit. If they don't have adequate logic, deduction, not just reason in their own fucking head. But if they do have reason, then you can take that antithesis to readjust your thesis and come up with a synthesized answer. That's the beauty of being wrong. You get to synthesize yourself and better and upgrade yourself by assuming, okay, maybe my theory on life ain't right. How much does it pay to be right? If you read this book, you might understand. I could let you niggas know the benefits of being right, but we're only giving you niggas the intro. We can't give you niggas everything out here in these streets. We can't. All right, where we at? Okay. This is why science will always provide an antithesis to any thesis or theory through certain variables that provide evidence that can debunk or at least counterclaim the latter thesis theory. Okay. The funny thing is that scientists and philosophers seek out information due to their seemingly innate predisposition of knowing that they do not possess knowledge in its entirety. This belief is an innate predisposition you and I share as well. So we all got this innate predisposition of skepticism, of knowing that we can't know from all perspectives. It's like when you look at the animal across the road, you know that y'all's perspective is different. Nonetheless, to be respected, we appreciate the individuality of a tiger, but you think you perceive life precisely and exactly as a tiger does? Is the tiger wrong? Are you right? I feel like the human ego has positioned us to be domineering over the other subjects and energies around us as if we're the right ones. Respect to the human mind. It's beautiful. I love the human mind and the human condition. But it can be treacherous to other energies at times by projecting that rightness, which we're trying to knock right now. So, but that innate predisposition, which is why scientists and philosophers, they have to concede that it's a theory. It's not universally known. They have to concede this. This is just a pretense of the universe. And we share that predisposition as well. When you are made aware that your ideas may not be essentially right, but rather relative, you've set a premise that maintains the most integral tool for enlightenment, which is skepticism. Now you're a skeptic in the world. Nothing better to be than a skeptic. Why? That forces inquiry, that forces questioning, that forces cognitive development. A smart student asks what? Questions. A student who doesn't care to learn, a mind that doesn't care to learn, doesn't ask many questions, doesn't care about too many questions. It's a lot of what babies in the world, not a lot of why babies. Some of y'all why babies though. So this is right for you. So again, so if you're made, your ideas are not essentially right. Like your parent raises you and tells you this is the way that we do things. It doesn't make it correct. This is just how our custom is used to doing it. If you're raised like that, so knowing that your situation is relative, rather than a parent raising you and saying this is how we do things, this is how everybody in the world is supposed to do them, then you've set a premise that maintains the tool of skepticism. You're always told that your reality is relative and arbitrary. Therefore, it'll enable you to respect other realities when you come into the reality of somebody else's. Helps you communicate with different variations of people. Helps you get a broader understanding. What are we in it for? Are we in it to profess our ego and say that the way we grew up is right? Or are we in it for a better understanding? We really got to ask those questions when we leave this discussion, this read along, essentially. You feel me? Okay. Skepticism is a treasured skill. It allows us to remain skeptical after numerous experiences that naturally shape the way we view life, which is apperception, a skill that contemporary society lacks. No longer are we taking the exploration of nature for ourselves to observe and continually question. Today, we have chosen to take that journey to place human generalizations to aspects of life that are simply beyond our generalizations, like I've said once before. This means nowadays, most of us do not practice philosophy or science ourselves. We subtly piggyback off the scientists and philosophers of yesterday without applying our rationality to the subject or object. So most niggas out there ain't even doing the science. Most niggas is reading a book from somebody who did the science to conclude it, and then formulating their opinion off that third party reference. How sound is your third party reference? How relative is your third party reference? In a sense, we've stopped critically thinking, and in turn, also made our ability to be in sync with the intuitive sense defective. The intuitive sense, we'll stop there. What we touched on earlier is that intuition, that essence, that energy that came before cognition. When we project rightness and think we know the way of the world, we're subtly stripping that innate principle that told us that we don't know shit. So that essence within you is what the beauty of being wrong is stressing for us to get back at. That's the essence that has us connected. That's the essence that tells you when you see a homeless person, you might want to help them rather than projecting your ego and saying, okay, well, he did this or she did that and she deserves whatever you put up in this cognitive mind, which can be a tricky motherfucker. We're trying to get back here. In order to get back here, though, we have to denounce this. This should be the primary dictator of your actions. The innate predisposition you were gifted before you were able to think anything. That vibrant nature of a kid is why you see an energy, a consciousness of life when you see a kid. They didn't have to learn that shit. They just are that. You grow and you fester into this mind and this ego when you start to conceive things that get you away from that intuitive essence of self that makes you love one another, makes you love plants, makes you love animals, makes you love humans, makes you love everything, makes you naturally skeptic, makes you more intuitive. A lot of our intuitive essence is gone, so we ain't really got foresight to predict and see things in a way our human capacity should be able to. We are magnificent beings. But when we use only one faculty, which is the faculty of reason, we reduce our whole potential and our whole capacity. We have a faculty of force. Fuck just cognitive thought and reasoning. We have a faculty of force. Much love, Chris Lucas. I appreciate that, bro. That's respect. That's love. And it's always good to have these different type of talks because you get into the realm of certitude when it comes to argumentations. It could be pro-life and pro-choice. Somebody's definitively pro-life. Somebody's definitively pro-choice. And now they're combative because they think that their existences contradict one another when they don't. You can be pro-life and you can exist in a room with somebody who's pro-choice. That doesn't have to contradict. What should be done is to gauge an understanding of the motherfucker whose thesis contradict yours. Okay, I'm pro-choice, for example. I've had discussions, arguments. You guys take that word as a negative connotation, so I gotta say discussions. You feel me? But essentially, I'm arguing my point. They're arguing their point. We're engaging in an argument. It just doesn't come with that negative energy, which associates the person with the idea. No, we're in the ideological realm. So now we mix the two. So somebody's pro-life, somebody's pro-choice. You think you at odds with the energy in front of you. No, you guys are at odds in the ideological realm. So let's discuss this in the ideological realm. Let's remove the subject because this is nothing personal. You remove the subjects, now you can't say, oh, well, you just think like that because you stupid. Or this is just how you were raised. We're not getting personal. We're talking about the realm of ideology. That way, when we come in these debates, we can just use our logic and our reasoning to formulate our opinion. And you can let the other motherfucker do the same thing. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing this shit because it's to put us on a different spectrum in the public square as far as argumentation. We got social media, Facebook, all this shit nowadays. So motherfuckers get up there and argue with the lack of logic. But nonetheless, I just wanted to go live and share a bit of the introduction just to let people know what type of wrongness we're dealing with, what type of wrongness we're not dealing with. And to let me know your thoughts and your comments on where you can get the book on Amazon. You can just type in The Beauty of Being Wrong. I'll post a link in the subscription or in the description. Feel like a proud parent watching his son make it, you feel me? Or daughter, or book. We just call it book. There ain't no gender roles to this. We ain't like fucking these niggas is announcing Goofy and shit to be trans and all that. We ain't like the world outside of us. This is a book, no gender. But yeah, I feel like a proud parent holding this thing, man. And it's much love to y'all. Anybody want to show their appreciation to Dame's World? So go out there and cop this, man. It's that simple. And then the reciprocity will immediately be felt when you open that motherfucker and read it. But nonetheless, I got shit to do. It's your boy Dame, man. Peace.